Hey, everybody, this is Joseph Basic, and welcome to the 12-Ounce Sports Network. Welcome to Fired Up Live, and welcome to the Hall of Famer, Stormin' Norm Rumack, broadcasting legend. And we got a Hall of Famer. He should be in the Basketball Hall of Fame. I'm going to do that to Norm. I'm going to talk to somebody in the Basketball Hall of Fame. The long-range bomber, former Toronto Maple Leaf, Toronto Raptor, Tracy Murray. NBA champion. He's got me flustered already. NBA champion, 50-point scorer. All right, how many points did you score? Like twice, right? Over 50 points, right?
I have 40 with the Raptors and 50 with the Wizards.
Who cares about the Raptors? All right, I don't understand this. We'll talk about.
I care very much about the Raptors.
We all care about the Raptors. Okay, since you're gonna start with
come on, it's Canada's team. Relax.
Listen. I'm the president of Canada, the mayor-elect of North America, soon to run for the mayor of Zimbabwe. I don't know how to spell it. But look, I'm going to tell you right now this. If you have a top 5 pick in the NBA draft, all you need to do is lose. Lose, you could get a top 5 pick. What do they do? It's opposite. It's Donald Trump must be your president because they win. All we do is win. They're going to go from top 5 to top 15 pick. Norm is extremely mad. When you were playing and Vince Carter was in a Raptor uniform, there was empty seats. Now there's going to be even worse empty seats because they're going to pick some guy from Portugal as a number 10 pick or 15 pick. All right? So, Trace, come on.
We need Cooper
What do you
Flag.
say? Shouldn't have they tanked is Norm's word. Tanked. Shouldn't have they tanked the rest of the season 10, 12, 15 games instead of winning these games?
I think we need Flag, man. The Raptors need Flag. Go ahead and tank the rest of the game so he can come up there and play for you guys.
No, so Norm, you want to make your NBA debut?
In the next life, yes.
No, in this life, we need a pick. We need to hear a pick. But Trace, I digress. Since you got me started, don't forget, if you want to purchase tickets, this is how you purchase tickets to your favorite event.
You are watching the flagship show on the Fired Up Network. Let's all get fired up on Fired Up Live.
Yeah, and that voice was Tracy Murray's voice. Yeah, that's his second career doing that.
Hey, man, you become big time over, the last couple of years, huh?
It's all because of 12-Ounce Sports Network. I'm telling you, it's all because of 12-Ounce Sports Network. You know what they do? They quench your thirst for sports. Instead of Gatorade, have a 12-ounce drink. Norm has a 12-ounce. What do you have? Water there or what? What do you have, Norm?
Milk.
No, milk does a body good, but what happened with you? All right, so now, Trace, I'm going to ask you this question. Since Norm is talking, May 10th is Norm's big 70th birthday celebration. You're invited to the big celebration. It's going to be in a hotel, okay? But you're invited, plus you're going to have to pay for the big celebration. What do you say about that?
Oh, you're paying, huh?
You're paying. Yeah, if I rely on Norm to pay, it would be 700. He turned 700.
When you become big time, you have Fired Up Network. Yeah, you pay.
Listen, please address me as the president of the provinces of Canada. All right. So let's go to the Final Four, San Antonio. Tonight, the Final Four starts. We have all number 1 teams in the NCAA. Who's your pick to make the final, and then who's the pick in the championship game?
So you have which teams are playing each other? I've been more tuned into the women's side because UCLA is doing their thing. We lost early, so I kind of checked out after we lost. I know you got Houston.
Yeah, we got Auburn. I think we got Auburn.
Who is playing who?
So I'm going to get to that in just a second. Norm is excited because this is the third time we have all Final Four, all number 1 seeds.
All number 1s, yeah.
Yeah, all number 1s. So here it is, this Saturday, April 5th, 6:09 p.m., Auburn versus Florida.
That's right, the SEC matchup.
And then
Florida's extremely hot right now, man. I got to go with Florida in that one. Florida has been blazing all the way through the second half of the season, through the SEC tournament, all the way through the NCAA tournament. They've been extremely hot right now. I'm going with Florida in that matchup.
Hold on, I got a call from Charles Barkley, Auburn. He says he's going to call Stephen A. Smith on you, Trace. How dare you not pick Auburn? He's saying. So this is Charles Barkley, all right?
That's all right. I'll call LeBron on Stephen A.
Okay, we'll talk about that later. So Norm, who's your pick, Auburn or Florida? Watch Norm pick Auburn because he's scared of Charles Barkley. Look.
No, I agree. Florida pulled out some nice wins, and don't forget they're a back-to-back champion. Was it 08, 09? They were back-to-back champions, so they've got a little bit of.
Remind me.
Oh, is that a UCLA?
Don't remind me.
Don't remind you when he talks about UCLA.
I shouldn't have reminded that. By the way, I got a question for you, Trace.
Okay.
So when you talk with your NBA peers, or just your own thinking on it, but I just wonder, did people start to wonder if Duke would lose their legacy when Coach Krzyzewski decided to retire? Just wondering if, like, how much of the excellence had to do with Mike Krzyzewski, and how much of it is what he's built into their DNA as a team, as a school, in terms of just the expectation and the excellence is there, and the players know it the second they sign to play for Duke, and it's just an expectation, and it's almost in their blood. What's your thinking on that in terms of when Coach K decided to pack it in?
I haven't talked to anybody about it, but I thought that, obviously, with him not at the helm, I thought that they were going to lose their luster. But, John Shire played for Krzyzewski. He knows what's expected. He knows what he's learned from him. And I think that the Duke DNA is still there because Shire is a former Duke player that came from Krzyzewski. So, and he learned under Krzyzewski as well, as a coach. So I think it went to the perfect person, because he's taken it and he's continuing the Duke legacy. And he's doing an excellent job of recruiting, getting donors in there to get the NIL money together. And Duke is continuing to be at the top in the upper echelon.
Yeah, well, in fact, I picked them to win the whole thing just because there is that expectation and that, pardon the term, DNA. And they just, even if it's a surprise, I mean, that doesn't happen in every school where a coach retires and the next coach inherits and they go on with the same level of excellence. So it's kind of a rarity, but especially this kind of excellence. So I have them, just based on that, whether it's a good line of thinking or not, I have them winning the whole thing based on that.
And that's not a bad pick, because, I'm one of those guys. I'm an offensive player, and I believe defense wins championships. Their offense, and there's no one that can stop Flag. There's no one. And he's very effective in not just scoring the basketball. He's effective in making plays. He's a good defender. He impacts the game on both ends of the court. Duke's defense is just as good as their offense. And I think that's what's going to get them over the hump, because you either have a really good offensive team or you have a really good defensive team, and you hang your hat on that. Like Tennessee hung their hat on their defense. And at the end of the day, their offense is what killed them with Houston. So shout out to Jemai Meshack. That's one of our kids from our program. I felt bad for him yesterday. That's one of our young men, and he took it as far as he can take it. So, I just wanted to shout him out real quick. But at the end of the day, Duke is very good on both ends, and that's what's going to carry them over the top.
All right, you're watching the 12-ounce Sports Network here on the Fired Up Network, NCAA Final Four preview with the long-range bomber, Tracy Murray, and the broadcasting legend, Stormin Norman Rumack. So again, Saturday, April 5th, 6:09 p.m., Auburn versus Florida, and 8:49 p.m., Duke versus Houston. So you're going with, both you guys are going with Florida, and I guess both you guys are going to pick Duke, right?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, so I'll go with Florida. And I'll go with Houston since it's in San Antonio. What a great story that will be, Houston, San Antonio. See, you got to think ahead, Norm. You got to think ahead, all right? So let's say we get what you say, Florida and Duke. You're saying Duke will win, Trace?
Yes, I think so. Florida, I think that's where Florida is going to fizzle out, because I still think, you got to look at your stars. And Flag is one of those guys, and Duke shoots. Once if it gets into a free throw contest, they don't miss very many free throws. They have rim protection. You know, they have guys that can make plays. Cooper Flagg's just incredible, man. You know, so I'm going with Duke because of the star factor, the defensive factor, and if the game is tight and it has to get down to foul and get stops, Duke is going to win that game.
All right, Norm, do you agree with Trace?
Well, I defer to Tracy because he actually.
I didn't ask you if you defer. I asked you, do you agree?
Yes, I agree, and I'm done.
All right, you have to go 5 minutes before
I'm explaining why I agree because he knows what he's talking about, and he played the game at the elite level.
Of course he knows what we. This is why I bring him on the 12-ounce Sports Network.
I love you guys, man. I love you guys. We're back.
He loves me more than you, Norm. Come on.
Yeah, this is almost as good as the wrestling round, the Raptors wrestling round.
Norm's excited. Norm's excited for that. Look at him bounce. I told you when you get him to bounce, that's it. All right.
So you got to admit, on this round, Tracy Murray gets the belt. He gets the gold belt.
Show everybody what belt you have on. You don't even want to stand up. At least I told you to dress up.
You want me to go get my belt?
No, because you slapped me around with it so many times.
No,
all right.
No, I have you want me to get my championship belt? You said I
gave you the championship belt, Trace. I gave you the championship belt. Go bring it out. Show Norm what it means to be a champion. Norm, I brought you from years carrying you. You should be carrying my bags or whatever. He's going to show. Look at the pictures in the background. Tracy Murray there. Look at the pictures in the background. Norm, look at that. That's even a picture of me and Tracy Murray with the junkyard dog. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Yeah. But how heavy is that, Trace? How heavy is that? Yeah. Acknowledge me, Trace. Acknowledge.
You're acknowledging me right now because
Norm, you gotta put the one in the air. Put the one in the air. Put the one in the air. Yeah, but he has the belt. Hold on, Norm. Tracy Murray has the belt, but you know what he doesn't have? The Ula Fala. The Ula Fala. I let my girlfriend have the Ula Fala, but
that's where you went wrong.
Listen, I don't go wrong. You got to do whatever ladies want. All right. So, okay, we'll talk about wrestling in a couple seconds, but Tracy mentioned it at the beginning of the show. His alma mater, UCLA, is Final Four for the ladies. NCAA.
Let's go, ladies. Let's go get it.
All right. So we're not going to talk about the other teams. You came from UCLA. Talk about your team. First of all, how happy are you that they're in the Final Four? And if they go to the finals or win, how happy are we going to have a celebration like the Raptors in 2019 that they're still partying for 7 years later? Masai Ujiri has done nothing in those 7 years. I told you, you lose to win. Sometimes you have to lose to win. Then you win, and then you lose. You understand what I just said? Because I don't.
Well, just to touch on the Raptors for a second, they loaded up for 1 year to try to go after it, right?
Yes.
And they went and got it. So in all fairness, they went and got it, and then everybody had to go get paid from there. So, Norman had to get paid. Kawhi had to go get paid. Green had to go get paid. So guys had to go get paid, man. So they sacrificed for a year. They stayed together. They went after it. They got it. And you can't fault those guys for cashing in on their championship. So it always ends up that way, and then you end up rebuilding again.
So let me ask you a question before Norma comes in here. We hear the last couple of weeks former players say it was terrible to play in Toronto. You heard about that, right? It was terrible to play in Toronto. You're a two-time Raptor. You actually started when the Raptors started. You love Toronto because the president of province of Canada is from Toronto.
Absolutely.
Some guy from Syracuse. We won't mention who, but anyways. But tell everybody, and all the players are watching this on 12-ounce Sports and the Fired Up Network, if you want to come to Toronto, how bad or how great is Toronto?
Number one, it's not horrible to play in Toronto. It's not. You have an unbelievable fan base that's supportive. You have a outstanding city with great restaurants, great people. I enjoyed myself. The nightlife is good. If you're young and single, It's a place for you. It's a hot spot. At the end of the day, the complaints about playing in Toronto is valid as far as the taxes are concerned. You're not used to getting taxed like that. So I get that complaint. But to me, the reason why I came back a second time is because where I'm different is, I had to go cash in on that year and secure my family, right? It didn't mean I was happy about doing it. It didn't mean I was happy after I left. I was happy when I came back. I came back to a place that I was finally accepted in my career. I was accepted that first year, and I kind of helped build something I felt was special. And that's why it hurt me to leave, but I was happy to come back, and I was more disappointed that I got traded out of there. Remember, I had to break that trade.
Yeah.
With you guys. It's like I was disappointed. Yeah, I was going home, but I was disappointed. I wanted to retire in Toronto because of the fact that you guys, the fans, and the way the community accepted me, I wanted to stay there. So I was a little disappointed to get traded, but I understood, after my arthroscopic hip surgery, they probably thought I was damaged goods, and they probably thought we need to get something for him now. So I do understand the business side of that. But for those who are thinking, should I go to Toronto or shouldn't I go to Toronto? You're making a mistake by not going there. I mean, one thing about that city and the organization is like the only major superstar that I can honestly say that they made it like a regular organization for. And that was Vince, because Vince was he was out of this world with what he did and the attention that he brought. The Raptor organization was never ran like the other 29. It was something special about what they did. They are innovators. They were the first ones to have pregame meal. They were the first ones, when you come there, you don't automatically have a bunch of friends up there. So the team is a lot closer than any of the other teams I played for. We all had to be around each other. We all had to get to know each other. We ate dinner with each other. We enjoyed playing with each other. The jokes in the locker room, the jokes on the bus. We were a tight-knit team because we didn't have a bunch of friends in the city already. We had to be with each other and then figure that part out.
First of all, so go ahead. No, I'm sorry. Go.
Yeah, you're watching the 12-ounce Sports Network. Tracy Murray, our great guest and great friend. So, Trace, when you hear from and speak with the likes of T-Mac and Vince, do those fellas seriously somewhat regret that they didn't ride it out in Toronto and see if they could win? And they came so close against Phil. Well, Vince certainly got the team so close with that great series with Philadelphia.
Yep, we
in the early part of the millennium, right? That was a real nail biter, and that was worth the price of admission. Do you think, or do you know that they regret and that they wish they would have stayed as Raptors for somewhat more or a lot more, if not their entire careers?
I think if the tax problem wasn't a problem, I think they probably would have, because Vince had the city in the palm of his hands.
Yeah.
Tracy was looking for an opportunity to probably have his own team because of the fact that he was that guy. We all know he's a Hall of Famer. We all knew what his career ended up being. He needed to spread his wings, and he wasn't going to be able to do that with Vince there. You wouldn't have gotten the full T-Mac and Vince if he's playing with Vince. So he was a guy that, and plus, he wanted to max out his potential, not only physically and as a basketball player, but also financially. He wouldn't have been able to max it out with Vince there. So T-Mac, I don't think he had an issue with Toronto. I think he just needed to grow. I think everybody that was in Toronto that may have left disgruntled, I don't think they personally feel that way towards the city. I just think that when they looked in their bank account and didn't see what they signed for, and then they felt a certain way, but it's like I don't think it was anything personal to where people will be like, don't go there. I hate that place, because it's not one of those places that you hate. It's really not. You know, it gave me my second chance in my basketball career, in my basketball life. I was done for. AC Earl was done for. Carlos Rogers needed a second chance. All of us who came there, Alvin Robertson came off of a back surgery. He was out for 2 years. Willie Anderson was wondering what was going on with the rest of his career. Tony Massenberg needed a second chance. Like, all of us came there because no other team wanted us. Jean Tabak needed a second chance. Oliver Miller, God rest his soul, I miss Big O. He needed a second chance. The only people that came there that didn't need a second chance, Damon was the draft pick. Jimmy King was the second rounder. Like, those guys were drafted there. So this was their first opportunity. We all needed a life preserver because it didn't work out where we were before. And this was our way of staying in and reestablishing ourselves. So I think and I appreciate Isaiah Thomas, John Bitove Jr. and his family, you know, and the whole staff, Elaine Kwan and everybody in the Raptor organization for giving me my second chance. You know, I needed it. I needed that life preserver. So I will forever be indebted and forever have a love and appreciation for Toronto and the city and the organization.
Okay, a lot of stuff that I want to touch on. First of all, if it wasn't for the Raptors and Bitov who built Scotiabank Arena, that made the Maple Leafs buy Scotiabank Arena, Air Canada Center, Scotiabank Arena, the Maple Leafs will not have a home. They would have to build something else. So the Raptors got Air Canada Center for themselves, but also for the Maple Leafs. Nobody talks about that, but that is credit to Bitov and the Raptors organization. Okay, that's the truth. Secondly, Norm wants me, he texted me, he wants me to know this. First of all, thank you for breaking that trade. I think it was in late June. I told Norm, you won't believe this, Tracy got traded. He almost choked on his pizza at the Blue Jay game. All right, so that's number one. He wants me to know, also look at him laughing. He said they're the first one to give pre-game meals and all that. What did they have for pre-game meals? He wants to know. Look at his face. Come on.
You know what? I mean, after shoot around, we would come into the locker room and they would have, and this is the second time around. This is when now Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment is involved. Yeah. This is when Coach Lenny Wilkins was running the team. We come in after shoot around and they would have breakfast there. If you wanted breakfast, you know, people that are making omelets and stuff for you, or there would be a lunch portion for you. And that was the first time I've ever had sea bass, and the sea bass was unbelievable. So they had sea bass and veggies and stuff like that. And it's like normally any other organization that I played for, and this was even after the Raptors, I paid for my pregame meals. I paid for every meal. The Raptors provided that stuff. They were innovative to now fast forward to today's NBA. They do that in every organization now. Like when I came back and coached for the Lakers, Kobe's last year as a shooting coach, they had food in the locker room after shoot-arounds. Oh, thank you, Toronto Raptors. You guys did that. But Toronto had to do special things to try to entice players to come up there because of the tax problem. So they had to make it somewhat special, make everybody feel like they're a major part of what's going on. That's why the stars didn't get everything. They kind of spread things out to even people at the end of the bench was getting commercials and opportunities and autograph signings and stuff like that. We established that at the beginning.
You were in a commercial for Bell. I remember it. You were in a commercial for Bell. Right. No one used these phones. He had to pay 50 cents instead of 25. But, you know, these commercials for – so here you're watching 12-Ounce Sports Network Fired Up Live with Tracy Murray and the broadcasting legend Norm Rumack. You mentioned a couple things, and then I'll give it back to Norm here, okay? Also, you came back because he wanted to participate in the press conference for WrestleMania in 2020 and 2002. Norm was there. He was barking with some guy, the dog or whatever. Me and you and Rick Fleer were wooing. Woo! All right. So he was barking with a dog there. All right. Secondly, I know because when they retired his jersey, Vince Carter really hit hard here. He wished it was going to be, he wished he's played his career, but he wished he treated Toronto fans better and all that. The tears were genuine, and he's a Hall of Famer and all that. And if you look up the Raptors, you'll see number 15 there. So it hit Vince Carter home. And much like in Blue Jays, Dave Steve wishes he treated the media better. That's probably why he would have been a Hall of Famer as well. Now, one question you mentioned about Mike Krzyzewski, he's a great coach. Who was the best coach you had? Because you were an assistant coach for, like you mentioned, for Kobe Bryant.
The best coach that I've ever had is probably a couple of coaches, that allowed me. They brought the best out of me and allowed me to play my game. They saw something in me and said, go do it. Of course, my high school coach, Mike LeDuc, he allowed me. Him. Yeah. My college coach, Jim Herrick, he didn't care if I was a freshman or not. He just come in here and feel comfortable and play, and he later on went on and got that 11th national championship for UCLA. In the NBA, it was Brendan Malone. Brendan gave me the opportunity. He saw something in me that no other coach saw. And because of that year in Toronto, that first year, then Bernie Bickerstaff later on allowed me to do the same thing. But instead of starting, I was coming off the bench. Brendan started me halfway through the season. He saw me in a bigger role than what everybody else saw me as. So shout out and God bless Brendan Malone's soul too. He gave me an opportunity that, Isaiah really was the one calling the shots with that. He brought me in and he said, look, I want this guy playing. So you got to give Isaiah really most of the credit for that. But Brendan, it was the coach. And then after the NBA, it was I went and played overseas. And unbelievable coach that I played for with Panathinaikos, man. And Obradovic, man, he's a European legend for Serbia. Like, he knew how to manage players. He knew how to manage, most Serbian coaches are crazy and they try to kill you. We had 2 practices a day. He knew how to manage us because we had some older guys on the team. His tactics were unbelievable. Some of the things I learned defensively as a team came from him that I incorporate with our AAU team now. And it was first time I've ever seen something like this was over there. So I have to give him his credit as well.
Hey, Trace, I just want to
ask one question. You mentioned Oliver Miller. Miller passing away about 2 weeks ago. You're very close to Oliver Miller.
Yes.
Give us some takes from what you see, maybe a joke, maybe anything about Oliver Miller. If you remember him, great. He was a little bit big, but a great center and a great laugh. He had the smile and everything like that. And then Norm, you take it away. Go ahead, Tracy.
Unbelievable smile, man. His smile was infectious. He always kept it light on the bus, in the locker room. He kept us light, happy. He was always the joker, and he was a pleasure to be around. One of my best friends when it comes to teammates, one of my best friends. I kept in touch with him throughout the years. We golfed together. I would see him whenever I go to Arizona. Whenever we had road trips with UCLA, I'll give him a call, have a bite to eat with him, break bread, hit the golf course. He was one of those guys that at the beginning, we all coming from different situations and we had to come together as a team, right? Talking about one of the most unselfish players I've ever played against. And a lot of people don't know his talent level because they looked at his body and they say, oh, he's big. He can't be a good basketball player because he's not in the shape that everybody else is in. Oliver was one of the most talented unselfish dudes I've ever played with. He could have scored whenever he wanted to. He had that in his repertoire. He had that. He can score in the paint. He can knock down a three. He can put the ball on the deck and get by his guy. He had deceptive quickness where he can make plays. Great eyes, soft hands, can catch anything, make great passes. Oliver Miller and Damon Stoudemire was the reason why I had my best year as a pro. Without those two, I don't get the numbers that I get. Both of those guys were incredibly unselfish. Oliver Miller set great screens. He was so good he had to be double teamed or else he was going to score all the time. He knew where I was at every point. He would always talk to me. He's like, all right, as soon as I get a rebound, just take off. And he would throw long passes to me for dunks all the time. I mean, he had incredible confidence in me. Off the court, we bonded immediately. Like one of the funnest guys to hang out with. On the plane, we had this place in the first year. The back of the plane, we called it the Hood. And we would be back there playing dominoes, cards. Some guys would be shooting dice or whatever. I would bring the radio. We'll be having a good time back there. And I was sitting next to Oliver all the time. You know, Oliver was my guy. Like when I say he was my boy, that was my brother. So I just got back from Dallas from his service the other day. Just when I felt like I was going to drop a tear, everybody came up there with funny stories, man. From Nolan Richardson to Cesar Ceballos and his high school coach and whoever else spoke about him. They kept coming up with funny stories. So we ended up, instead of crying about it, it was truly a celebration. It was so many good memories of him that was told that I really, really left there feeling good. I knew he was in the building. His spirit was there.
Well, God bless his memory. You're referring to Brendan Malone, the Raptors' first year, the initial year coach, and his son has gone on to do some great things as a coach in the NBA with the Denver Nuggets.
He was in the video room. He was in the video room when Brendan was coaching. So he was learning back then. Wow.
Well, so with that in mind, when you see him coaching now with Denver, and they have such an excellent team, and he's highly spoken of, what did he learn from his dad? What did he learn from Brendan that you see him when you watch him coach now?
I mean, what didn't he learn? Like Brendan's been in the game. He was in the game for 40 years, coaching, and he's coached those. He was on the staff of those great Piston teams, and some Knick teams. It's like, and then then he was like kind of on the staff as a consultant or whatever, to his son. It's like, what haven't you learned? You have, this incredible coach in your family. I'm pretty sure he's picked his brain about how to use different guys, and you can't judge a book by its cover. You have to allow that talent to blossom. And that's what he did with Joker. He allowed that guy to blossom. Who has a 7-foot guy handling the ball and making plays for everybody from the perimeter? Who does that? They're going to tell him to get inside, come out, set a screen, and dive, right? Like, he is changing the whole game with putting the ball in Joker's hands and letting him create for everybody else. So he's not only taking his dad's creativity and allowing people who don't look the part to be the part. He's allowing that creativity from his players, and you have to give him credit. And also look at, he may have looked at some of the things in the past that his dad has done. Like, okay, this guy wasn't pigeonholed as this guy, but he was successful. And that's because his dad gave certain people like myself an opportunity.
Yeah, I didn't even know until I spoke with Brendan, God bless him. I was doing an interview with him in his first year that for a time, I don't know how long a time, but he was an assistant to Jim Boeheim at Syracuse.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Of course, he throws everything to
Syracuse guys, man.
What's that?
You Syracuse guys, man. Y'all
good, Tracy. Call them up and listen. And Trace could back this up. You talk about Brendan Malone. You talk about his son, but Steph Curry when he was young, he was shooting threes at half court and everything with Dell. I beat him in a game, all right? I beat him in a game. And by the way, you wanted to teach Norm how to dunk. The only dunk he did was go to Dunkin' Donuts, all right? That's the truth there. That's the truth. Look at him laughing. It's true. All right, Tracy.
When has this guy taught Steph Curry how to shoot?
Listen the stroke I have. Look, you see? There you go. Never mind. All right. So
that stroke looked like you're carrying this.
Yeah, I wish you stole my belt. All right, we're gonna at the end of this segment, we're gonna have a face-off. You and Norm wrestling. I'm the referee. The winner, me, gets the title. All right. So we started this segment here with your talking about the ladies' Final Four, and I want to give you your due because it's from UCLA. Take me through why UCLA, in your eyes, are going to win.
Well, there's a couple of things that you have to take in consideration as well. The unfortunate injury of Juju Watkins with SC. She's incredible, man. They beat us twice. They handed us our only 2 losses. And, that young lady is incredible. She's going to come back stronger than ever. And she is going to be this incredible talent for many, many years to come. That unfortunate situation also, I think, is going to allow UConn to get past USC because they beat UConn earlier this year, and Juju was a big part of it. So I think that UConn will get past them now because of that. And Paige Beckers is playing extremely well. She had a 35 and a 40-point game. But I just don't see them matching up with UCLA. There's no answer for Lauren Betts. She's too big, too strong. If you converge on her, we have too many shooters around the perimeter now. We're going to make you pay with a 3-point shot. Defensively, we may not look like we're the quickest in the world, but we have size. So you're only getting 1 shot at it. If you come into the paint, you got 1 shot, and you better make that shot. If you don't make it, we're going to get the rebound because we're bigger. Kiki Rice is very efficient with the basketball, doesn't turn it over. She finds people open. She makes sure she's force-feeding Betts. She sees Jaquez streaking. And Gardner's been shooting the heck out of the 3. She finds her on her play. It's like good guard play is the key to winning a national championship, and Kiki's a solid guard. London Jones, she knocks down 3. She can be a pesky defender, get up underneath you. She's the smaller one of everybody, but she has the biggest heart. But there's still no answer for Betts. And if you do try to concentrate on Betts, then everybody else will kill you. Angela Dugalish can knock down 3. Now, you're talking about Betts at 6'7". Then you got Dugalish at 6'4". You got Barker at 6'4". You got Gardner at 6'4". Like, you got a gang of 6'4" girls out there playing at the same time. We're too big. So I think being able to be skilled, unselfish, and have size with good guard play, that's kind of a recipe to the national championship.
I know I'm biased, but this is the best NCAA Final Four preview for men and ladies here on the 12-ounce Sports Network, Fired Up Network, Fired Up Live, with the long-range bomber Tracy Murray, former Toronto Raptor, 50-point scorer in the NBA and NBA champion. You got the belt. Don't you want to show everybody the ring that Norm's been after for all this? He tore it, everything like that. Do you have the ring there or not?
I don't have the ring with me right now.
All right. So I, by the way, I took it.
But I do have the banner over there, though.
See the banner, everything like that. So there you go. All right, I'll give Norm the final question before we talk wrestling. So Norm, go ahead, ask Tracy Murray whatever you want to ask him. Don't ask him for money, but ask him anything else, and go ahead.
All right. So, Trace, I think a lot of, if we have parents, and I'm guessing we have some folks who are parents watching, you've got 2 kids playing basketball, and good for you. Your son is a medic with the U.S. Army. Thank you to you and to him for his service. It's very honorable and good for you as a dad. You've obviously, with your partner, done a great job with your kids. So, big thumbs up for you, Trace. But what would you say to parents about kids playing basketball? And maybe the kids have college aspirations, maybe they have pro aspirations. What's the most important ingredient or most successful, the most important thing you as a parent need to do to nurture them, but not go overboard with it?
There's a lot of overboard parents nowadays. I really think that, number one, you should make sure this is what your kid wants to do. They have to love this because it's a difficult journey. You can't live through your kid. Your kid is your kid. You can't live through them. You can't live your dream through your kid. And I think that's the biggest mistake most of these parents make, between looking at it out there and that's them. No, it's not you. It's not you out there. It's your kid out there. And they have to have passion. They have to love it. They have to want to work. They have to want to get better. You can't live through your kid, number one. Number two, there's so many bad influence of basketball out there. Please do your research and figure out who are the best coaches, trainers, and teachers to teach your kid how to properly play basketball. There's too many gimmicks and BS out there that is hurting the progress of these kids. And if you look at, they're learning properly in Canada, because look at the impact of Canadian players in basketball now, especially in the NBA and in college basketball. Whatever you guys are doing up there, you're doing it right. Whatever they're doing in Europe, in Africa, they're doing it right. Right now, USA basketball is down because of bad influences, lack of fundamentals, and lack, bad trainers teaching these kids to dribble 30 times in one spot. Like, if you're going to make plays, you have to be able, there's only going to be one star on every team. That one star, you might need more than 5 or 6 dribbles to make a move. Point guards dribble a lot because they have to make plays for everybody. But if you're a small forward, a shooting guard, a power forward, or a 5, you don't need to get the ball in your hand and just start dribbling the ball 30,000 times before making a move. I made one mistake in training camp my rookie year. Rick Adelman told me, so I went through a dribbling act. Rick Adelman blew the whistle and said, if you can't score in 3 dribbles, pass the damn ball. So I learned how to play 3 dribble one-on-one, then 2 dribble one-on-one, then 1 dribble one-on-one. So I learned how to get my shots off in less dribbles. If you're a small forward, maybe a shooting guard to a small forward all the way down to a center, you got to learn how to play in less dribbles. I think there's a mistake being made to where in American basketball, everybody's got to dribble 1,000 times before they make a play. That's got to change.
All right. So, Norm, are you ready for some wrestling talk?
I'm afraid so.
All right. First of all, Norm, I'm going to tell you something. Acknowledge Tracy. Tell them how to acknowledge you, Trace. No, not bend down and kiss his feet. That's it. Acknowledge him. Look what he's doing, Norm. Put it up, Trace. Put it up.
You got to acknowledge me.
Put up the finger, Norm. All right. All right. Okay. So I'm going to, Trace, can we get you back on the week of WrestleMania to talk WrestleMania? Because I know maybe you're going or whatever, but we don't know the card yet. I'll ask you a couple matches, but hopefully in the next 2 weeks we could get you back on to talk about WrestleMania. But look, it's WrestleMania 41. And in fact, on Monday, March 31st, 1985 was the first WrestleMania. That's 40 years. All right. And Norm, I wanted Norm to shave his head and be like a Mohawk like Mr. T, in honor of the 40-year anniversary of WrestleMania. What do you think of Norm wearing a Mohawk? I got it.
So you saying he need to have earrings and chains too?
You think he will look better like that? Come on.
There's your answer, Joe.
You need to defend yourself, man. Get him off of you, man. Get him off of you, Norm. He's always on you. Get him off of you.
All right. First of all, okay. You mentioned we saw the title. You still got the title there, and Trace. All right. Tell everybody where you got that title. It wasn't from Toys R Us or whatever. Tell everybody where you got that title from.
WWE.com.
I know that already, but I know you didn't pay $250 or $500 for that title. All right, you're part of your group there.
I actually got this one for my kids, so I did pay for this one. Awesome. You got to pay sometimes. Right?
At least he's telling the truth, not like Norm. All right, so I thought you got it from the Undertaker group and everything. No.
What happened is Undertaker also donated 2 belts to Prodigy. Our charity golf tournament. And not only did he send 2 signed belts, he also sent a bunch of T-shirts and just a whole care package of boxes of stuff. And we've used them for the kids in the charity golf tournament. So shout out to Take. Mark, I appreciate you. Love you, brother. That's I'm an honorary BSK if you didn't know it. Joe.
Yeah,
honorary. I'm not saying I'm full. I'm honorary, okay?
And by the way,
shout out to my BSK brothers, Taker, Bear. For those who don't know who Bear is, that's the Godfather.
Hold on, Trace. I want to tell Norm. You know what, Norm? Pimping ain't easy. All right, pimping ain't easy. Just ask Bear. All right, pimping ain't easy. All right, Trace. Now let me ask. By the way, happy belated birthday to Mark Calloway, the Undertaker. Yes. Last week was his birthday there and all that. See, I'm calling everybody out here. Okay, I'm calling everybody out. But here we're at WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas. Number one, you're gonna be there because you live close by Vegas.
Well, I'm in Vegas right now. I just don't know where I'm going to be at that time. I'm hoping to be here. I'm trying to pull up to Taker's the night stand, the stand that he does. Last time we were here, we had a good time. I went to the WrestleMania one in LA a couple years back, and I just like going to his shows. I love listening to him tell stories. I mean, when we're playing dominoes and sitting around the domino table and we're talking and laughing, just the stories that him and Godfather and everybody be telling, man, it's like whenever I'm with Keish, the stories that he tells is like it's funny, it's unbelievable, and just like wrestlers have the best stories. Like there's no stories that I can tell as a basketball player or as an athlete that are better stories than the wrestler stories. They know how to tell them too. It's not just the stories; it's how they tell it. I think they're unbelievable. Well, that's what they do. They tell stories, right? That's the business. But you sit down and listen to a podcast, because they're really starting to open up that curtain and let it out, right? The stories are unbelievable and entertaining and funny and some heartbreaking. It's just. I'm glad that they're able to kind of open up the curtain a little bit because I've been behind that curtain and I know some of the stories, and for them to tell some of the stories, I get to laugh about it because I've been knowing them for years. And then there are some stories I don't know that come out, and I find that entertaining as well. I mean, listening to the Dudley boys when they're telling their stories is unbelievable too. Those guys be having me die laughing. Shout out to the Dudley boys, man.
Especially how they put Mae Young through a table. But we got a couple minutes.
I mean, come on, our guy, the Cat. I talked to Cat the other day. The amazing stories these guys tell. It's just I really love their stories. I love the relationship and the brotherhood I have with them.
Hey, Trace, I got a nice little Raptor story for you. It's before I really got to know you and the guys pretty well. It was just after the season started. I'm at the Sports Cafe at Yonge and St. Clair. And back then, we didn't have satellite TV, so you had to go to a sports bar to watch games that were out of town or out of market.
I remember.
Okay, so it's the first time the Raptors have played against Michael Jordan and Chicago Bulls in Chicago, right? And the Raptors, you might remember the game, but the Raptors did really well. They didn't win, but it was a very, very close game. And I'll tell you, for the 20 or 30 of us that were at the Sports Cafe watching that game, everybody stood up at the end of the game and gave the Raptors a standing ovation because as an expansion team, you guys made the Bulls work. Regardless of the Bulls, whatever was going on with them that night, they had to work to get that win. And it's like, wow, this is so great to see a Raptor team making the Chicago Bulls and Michael Jordan sweat it out. I don't know if you remember that game. It was the first time you guys played the Bulls in Chicago.
Yes, I do remember that. Current Raptor fans look back at us, especially the young ones, because they really don't understand what, expansion means. Okay. You just don't start an organization, you have tryouts and you say, all right, here you go. They look back at us and they thought that we, because I hear this a lot with Raptor fans is like, yeah, we sucked back in the day. No, we didn't suck. We were building. We were the foundation. And as the foundation, you have to establish a fan base, a style of play. You have to grab the fans immediately, right? Or else you're going to end up like Vancouver and lose the Grizzlies to Memphis. So as a player in the first year, what did we do to grab everybody? First of all, I thought that Isaiah and the team did an excellent job of marketing the team. People were teasing us about our Barney uniforms back in the day, but it's the number one throwback uniform that everybody wants to get nowadays, right?
Yep.
They were really strategic on who they drafted. Damon Stoudemire, small guy, Mighty Mouse. There's marketing there, right? Damon was the most electrifying young player at the time. He was the rookie of the year. Michael Jordan tried to guard him, could not guard him. So if you look at what we did as a team that year, we were probably the most successful expansion team in history. And they don't look back at we sucked. We were building to 2019. Even we were building to the Vince Carter years. We were building to beyond that. So how did we do that? How did we beat the 72-10 Chicago Bulls? How did we give them a hard time at their place? Well, everybody knows by watching the game, teams don't play hard for 48 minutes. They just don't. We did. And the reason why we did is because everybody needed a second chance. We were hungry. We were on the benches of people before us. We weren't given a shot. We were hungry. We were chomping at the bit to get on that court and prove ourselves. We paid our dues, and this was our opportunity laying right in front of us. We're finally getting on the court. We finally get to show who we are. And everybody had that chip on their shoulder because everybody was coming off of somebody's bench that didn't play. And they were talented. We were all talented. We just didn't play. We were behind some Hall of Famers, or we were behind a deep team. I was behind Clyde Drexler and Jerome Kersey and Mario Elie and Terry Porter. I couldn't play in front of those guys. Then I go to Houston. I'm behind Robert Horry. That trade was for Clyde. It wasn't for me. So I wasn't given an opportunity at either spot. And you say given an opportunity. I bust my tail in practice every other day, right? So at the end of the day, you bust your tail, but you're not going to play in front of those guys. They're still trying to win championships. The Blazers that just came from the championship against Chicago when I arrived. So you think they're going to put a young player in that area when they're still trying to chase a championship? No, a young player's going to have to sit and wait and pay their dues. I got to Houston with Clyde. After their first championship, things wasn't going right. They wanted to repeat. They needed a shot in the arm. Who you going to get? You're going to go get a Clyde Drexler who's hungry for a championship. And they went and got it. And I jumped on their coattails to get a championship. That wasn't for me. So my opportunity came that first year with the Raptors. And I'd be damned if I was going to let an opportunity slip out of my hands. And that's what the way everybody else felt too. So we didn't take our time on the court for granted. So we played hard for 48 minutes. We were in the streets, me, the Raptor, and 6 dance pack members going to malls, sporting goods stores, up and down Eastern Canada. Damon and 6. It was a player, 6 dance pack members, and the Raptor up and down in a van, Eastern Canada, everywhere.
Okay, hold on, Trace. We got a couple seconds left before, and only Norm could break up a great wrestling conversation with this St. Clair coffee and all this. What, Trace? We got to get you back on. We got 2 minutes left before we're gonna cut off here. I'm gonna ask you one question. Gotcha. Because I have to, because me and Ludwig Kaiser have a problem. All right, I got messages from Bastion Booger, Bad News Brown, more wrestling talk. So we'll have more wrestling talk. But Ludwig Kaiser and me have a problem. He's taking my lady, Tiffany Stratton. All right, I want to know. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks. We have 2 minutes left. Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair for the ladies' championship. Your call. Norm sounds interested. Tiffany Stratton is like Trish Stratus.
I think it's still Tiffy time.
Tiffy time. Norm, do you agree it's the Tiffy time?
If Tracy says it's Tiffy time.
Oh, you have a mind by yourself. All right, so we're going to close it nowhere else but 12-Ounce Sports Network, Fired Up Network, Fired Up Live brings you this great. And Trace, in 2 weeks before WrestleMania, can we get you on? I won't have this guy on to interrupt our wrestling talk.
I got you. I'm there.
All right, put on the belt here while we close it out here. You've been watching Fired Up Live Monday, Thursday at noon on the 12-Ounce Sports Network, Fired Up Network. Norm, tell everybody how to get a hold of you social media-wise, and acknowledge Tracy for once.
I love Tracy Murray.
Yeah,
he treated me like a brother.
He loves talking about balls and men. All right, so go ahead.
All right, Tracy Murray, thank you so much. We love you, buddy. You're a great to us. And, you can find me here with Joe and great guests like Tracy Murray on the 12-Ounce Network. We're here during the week, Monday and Thursday. So check it out, check us out, and bring you more guests. And Tracy, those were wonderful answers to the questions Joe and I asked. Thank you so much for being such a great friend.
Oh, man, hey, thank you guys for being great friends. And, since he cut me off over there, I'll give you the shorter version of the answer the next time.
All right. So we'll get Tracy on before WrestleMania. Again, WrestleMania is on April 19th and 20th from Las Vegas. And Trace, is it Ludwig Kaiser or the President of Provinces of Canada, Mayor-elect of North America, soon to run for the Mayor of Mozambique, better for Tiffany Stratton? Answer that as we close it out.
Tiffany Stratton she's the future, and Joe, you got a heck of a fight with Kaiser, man. I don't think.
Listen, I just give him a Kaiser a roll, and that's it, man. You don't know about
he's gonna give Tiffy time up, brother.
I'm gonna get Tiffy time. I'll get Tiffy time. And Norm,
maybe he's the one that dotted you in your forehead.
Who? What are you talking? I'm reading Bad News Brown comments about you. How come you didn't score more than 50 points twice? Never mind. Norm will take care of Bad News Brown. Thanks.
Because there was a nice little spot on the bench over there that I had to sit on.
Yeah, well, you had to join Norm on the bench. He never got up. Him and Gus. The truth is, Gus is the water boy and everything like that. And Norm was after. Yeah, that shout out to Gus there. He's been there for almost from the beginning, right? Shout out to Gus there.
They won.
Hey, Tracy, that's one beautiful belt. If I wore it, I'd have a double hernia.
Yeah, didn't he have a double area? Thanks for watching, everybody.
Need tickets to that next event? Well, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got them with some.
You are watching the flagship show on the Fired Up Network. Let's all get fired.